So today is more of a tips and tricks kind of session, and so I want to focus on the two areas of Management Reporter. The first is report design, showing you how you can use some features in Management Reporter to go ahead and make reports that you don't have to constantly monitor and maintain. So there's a couple of tips and tricks in that section. And then there's also some maintenance-free report distribution items as well, so we want to make sure we cover that. And as always, we'll leave it open for questions at the end. Okay, so the first part is in the design of reports, and this is specific to row sets. So although it actually can be used in columns and trees as well, so that's not a completely true statement, but the wildcards can be used throughout the system. So there's two different wildcards. There's the question mark, which is a placeholder, and then the asterisk, which means anything that comes after the string that I just asked for you. And I'll demonstrate some of these things in just a couple of minutes. And just relating to those two wildcards, the question mark and the asterisk, that there's also, you can use wildcards in any location, in any dimension value, and you can use it as often as you want. So if you need to get very granular and you need to go like one question mark, you can just use them in a string multiple times. And you can intermix them depending on where it's appropriate. And you can use it in rows, columns, and reporting tree definitions. Okay, and the second item is account categories. Inside GPay, it is a requirement for all general ledger accounts to belong to an account category. And in AX, it's not a requirement, but it's available as well. So if we're in account categories and we're using that to drive our reports rather than number ranges, it really is maintenance-free report. So if an account switches categories from, say, cash to long-term investments, you only have to flip the category once in GPay, and your reports will pick up the right account in the right place. So I highly suggest we start using account categories in your Dynamics ERP for reports to reduce the upkeep of the reports. And I'll show you how you use it in just a couple of minutes. Okay, so let's do a demonstration of how we can use those three tools, specifically wildcards, ranges, and account categories. Okay, so let me go back, let's go into GPay. The first thing is, I'm in an account card right now, so let me call up an account code. So here's my cash operating account. You can see that the category, this cash account belongs to this cash category. If I go into another area or if I look at another bank account, that also belongs to cash. So this category becomes another dimension inside Management Reporter. Okay. But first I want to take a look at a report. So, and this is a balance sheet, and what I did was just to sort of exaggerate or demonstrate the different ways. I've added the cash line 4 times, not something, actually 5 times, not something that you actually want to do, but I want you guys to see that I'm getting the same number over and over again, just dependent upon the ask. So we'll just go ahead and just review how I asked for it in different ways. So let me go over to the report designer, and let's call up this row set. So in my first example of asking for cash, I did it sort of the old traditional way, or the classic way of doing it. I gave it an account range. I just went ahead and double-clicked here, and I said all, and I just said from account 1100 to 1199. So this means if there's an account in 1200 or 1201, I'm going to have to go in and modify all the row sets that this cash range is on. And the row sets, as you know, can be in the multiples. So typically you have something, a row set, and then you tweak it a little and save it as something else. So in this case, I would have to, if my cash spilled over into the 1200s, I'd have to edit that in each one of the row sets. In the next example here, what I did was I used for the cash, I used 2 placeholders. I'm using a 4-digit account in my example, and when I asked for the accounts, I just simply said 1 question mark, and that means anything that starts with has 1 in the first character, 1 in the second, regardless of the third and fourth characters, but they're specific placeholders. I could also do something like this if for some reason I wanted to go 1 question mark, and that gives you a slightly different twist on it, where it's anything that has 1 regardless of the second character and has 1 in the third and none in the fourth. So you can actually use these throughout strings. And you can also mix and match. I could go ahead and do this over here where I could say 1?1, and then I can put the asterisk. And the asterisk means regardless of anything after that character. Probably make more sense if I did something like that. Although in a 4-character account code, it's not as useful, but you can go ahead and mix them inside there. Okay, so in the next example, what I did was I just used 1 asterisk. So all my cache is in the 1100 series. I don't have to bother putting account ranges in there. I just say blast to that section, give me 1 star. And then in the last example, what I did here was I'm using account categories to drive the rows in my report. So when I use account categories, I go ahead and I have a 3-digit account or 3-segment account code in my sample data. I've got departments, I've got accounts, and I've got divisions. So I'm not going to use any of them. I'm going to use account categories to drive the rows in my report. So now when I go ahead and double-click on the account category, you can see I have a list here once I take this filter off. I have a list of all my account categories in alphabetical order. Now, if you've been using GP for years and you haven't been paying much attention to the account categories, you can always change them. You can always go into Smart List, download them, make them look the way you want, and then we can always import them with a couple of different tools. So, or you can clean them up manually if your chart of accounts is not that extensive. So if you are using them and you're using them in the way that you need to, then just start to use them inside Management Reporter. And this way it really does make maintenance-free reports because I can control in the application where I want that account in my row set, and then as I change the account categories, all my row sets change, which is definitely gets you into more of a maintenance-free mode, just to sort of pound our theme here. Okay, so let me go back and we'll just cover a couple of other items. Okay, so the next thing is that dimension sets and dimension value sets. So these can be used when we need to go ahead and combine things. We want to call that group something, and it's just one ask, and I have to maintain that one dimension set, and then I can use it in all my row sets seamlessly. So it's one single point of maintenance. And so this definitely reduces the maintenance. So it's like almost using the categories inside Management Reporter. They're reusable. You can, every time you ask for that dimension set in a row set, it will go ahead and call up the most current version of it, exported for others to use. So this definitely gives you a tool to go ahead and just manage the row sets in a more simplified manner. I don't want to advance to that one. Okay, so let's hop into GP and show you how I did this. So in this example here, I've got cash, and that's only one single account category. But I might have another row in my row set that says cash and short-term investments. And what I want to do there is I want to go ahead and I want to add the cash category and the short-term investments. And every time I ask for cash and short-term investments, I want to use the save definition. So in this case, I just go ahead here and I have a dimension set up. If I want to create a new one, well, let's go into the cash and short-term securities. So here when I call up the cash and short-term securities, it knows here that take this category and that category, and I can continue on and put in as many as I need to. And I just maintain it once. If I wanted to create a new dimension set for myself, I would just double-click on a line and let's go in here. And you just click next to the pencil. Once you go into the pencil, then you can go ahead and just say it's a new one. So this might be current liabilities. And I'm going to say I'm going to drive it off of account category. Put a short description here if I want, or I just simply copy this and paste here. Okay, so let me close out of this. So now when I want to go ahead and put what goes in there, I just simply go down and call up the new dimensions that I created and then just drill into the categories and start finding accounts payable and whatever other ones I need to do it. Okay, so that's just an easy way to go ahead and start to use dimension sets to have a little more control so you don't have to constantly scan your row definitions and see what's going into it. And what I would say is that the wildcards, let's also go into the reporting trees. The wildcards can also be used in reporting groups, in reporting trees. So if I look at a division, and if this becomes the 9 series, I can simply go ahead when I edit this and say that's 9 star. And this way I can get all of them. If I add department 91 or 92 or 93, it will all just roll right into the right place with one single ask. Okay, so let me go back to our presentation. And let me give you a couple more tips and tricks here. So there also is the ability to auto-build and missing account analysis. So for some of our customers, you're using AA accounts, for instance, and you know you can use those dimensions inside GP, but you don't want to constantly have to be updating your tree or updating what you're asking for. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to auto-build rows or reporting trees as part of the monthly process. So if you want to make sure you have all your division department combinations, you want to make sure that you've got all your AA dimension codes, all you need to do each month is go in, delete the old tree, and just build a new one, and it'll build it on the fly, and this way you make sure all your values are in there. And if you are doing reports and have some legacy reports in the system and you're constantly maintaining them, there actually is a tool inside here that will actually scan all your building blocks and make proactive changes. Okay, so let me give you a quick demonstration of how both of these tools work. Okay, it's time to do a reporting tree, and I want to make a new reporting tree with my divisions and departments. Okay, under the Edit and Management Reporter, there's always Insert Reporting Units from Dimensions, and that's this one right over here. It's also on a Control R, and you can see here you also have the ability to manage dimension sets and dimension value sets there. So in this case here, I'm going to say I don't need the account category, so that one I'm going to go ahead and take it off. And what I would really want is I want a divisional report that then goes ahead and takes it across all departments. So I'm going to move the division up so the hierarchy goes division and then departments. And then I'm going to say OK. So what this did here was it went ahead and it scanned the entire GP database, and it's answering back or recreating the tree for me on the fly, and it's saying here's the divisions, here's all the departments underneath this. If you're using AA, your dimension codes are available here, and so you can start recreating funds and grants or whatever, however you're using it, projects, and you can just create these on the fly. And so because this is so simple to do, each month I can just recast it. I can get rid of all the rows and just go ahead and reinsert, and this way when I run the report, I'm sure I have the most recent version. Similarly, under Tools, if I wanted to go ahead, there's a wizard here for missing account analysis. So I can use this and I can point it against any of my building blocks, and it will actually do a scan for me. I'm not going to, so it'll give me all the building blocks and then all the dimensions that I want to use. So you can use this to go ahead if you've got a balance sheet that's out of balance and you're just tired of looking for it, then just use that tool, which is under the tools, and have it go ahead and do the work for you. So if I wanted to save this reporting tree now to be able to use it in the report, I would just simply say Save As, and I would say Division Department. And you can put a folder together and you can start dating them. Department, and I'll say this is May 2013. Whoops. Okay, just once is enough. Perfect. And so now if I want to go ahead and put a folder and keep those reporting trees in a different folder, all I have to do is just put a new folder, and I'll just call it Department Division or Division Department. And then I'll just drag this in. So that this way when I'm running a report, I'll be able to go ahead and see each month and be able to run it against the view for that particular month, and I can save it. Okay, so those are some of the little tips and tricks we have just to get you a better experience. So the next section here, what I wanted to do is I want to talk about some of the report viewers, how we can distribute reports predictably. So there's a couple of tools that you can go ahead and use. The first one is report groups. So your monthly financial package probably does not consist of one report, it probably consists of several. So report groups give you the ability to set up one report group or one ask and be able to say print these 3 reports or these 7 reports, wherever many that you have, so that you can actually just ask for one report group and it'll print all the reports that you need. So once you've gotten that under control, what you might want to do is use report schedules. And what report schedules are going to do is that you want to run this report group or this suite of reports every day for the first 5 days of the month. And you're working each day on your financials, and you want to put it into your flash folder or your working folder. And then on the 10th day of the month, you're ready to publish them. So you go ahead and set up another schedule to go ahead and print this report group and publish it in the final or wherever you put it inside your report library. And you can use your report library to structure your folders in such a way that it makes it very easy for people to find the stuff that they want. So once you have a structure and you just educate your organization, people can find the reports without a lot of interruptions from you. And then the final piece is that you can, in addition to publishing your reports in the report library, you can now publish your reports on SharePoint. And so once it's on SharePoint, if people are subscribing to those folders, they get automatic alerts when new reports are in there. So that you, in this case, using the report groups and the report schedules and publishing them on SharePoint, you've got a complete end-to-end automation. Okay, so what I'll do now is I will give you a quick demonstration of how that works inside Management Reporter. So you can see these icons on the bottom, the last couple of ones. The first one is report groups. So let me just close out of a couple of things that I'm in. So we're going to go into report groups, and I'm going to do a new report group. Or actually, I'm going to say, let's do another one so you can see how easy it is to do. Okay, so I've got the monthly financial set up, and all I want to do is I want to add what reports go in there. So I'm going to say definitely give me my balance sheet summary. I'm also going to add my P&L. Maybe I'll add another one for it. I'll do my income statement, this one, and it would not be complete without my cash flow. Okay, and now I'm going to save it. And I'll just call it Okay, and now I've got another one that's got a couple more reports. This one's got some reports, and I have it over here as well. So the next thing is I want to get the scheduler going. So I'm going to go into Report Schedules, and I'm going to click on a new schedule. And it's pretty easy. So I either choose an individual report or a group of reports. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and get a little more bang for my buck and just say, give me the monthly financials with cash flow. And then I'm going to say I want you to run it monthly, and I want you to run it on a relative day of the month. I want to run it on the 1st of the month or the 10th of the month or a specific day. And I can start the recurrence, and I can say I want you to run it daily. And the interval days are 1, and I'm going to start it on whichever day I want. So this is actually using the recurrence features that you're used to inside Outlook. So you can do it monthly, weekly, daily, and then you should be good to go. And when it comes time to do the reports, you can go ahead, it will schedule it or publish it to into the report library or into SharePoint, depending upon where that report is set to go inside the actual report itself. So that would be in the report definition. The report definition will drive that. So if we look at the balance sheet summary, whatever reports are in the group, you've set on the output distribution where you want it to go. In this case, I'm putting it to the library, and you can also put it to multiple places at once. So if you want to do it to Excel and you want to do it to a couple of folders, you've got control over that as well. Okay, so those are some of the tools that you can go ahead and use.